Welcome back to Trek Polamaa Season 4.
Season 5.
Sorry, I'm really sorry, Season 5. Nothing like an interesting session post-lunch to keep us all awake. Our next speaker for the day is the head of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at CTC. Mr. Murugavel has been involved in photo documentation of flora and fauna for India for several years now. He's a columnist and is also a biofilatelist whose collections on snakes and conservation of nature has won several national awards. Mr. T. Murugavel will speak on the topic Ethics in Wildlife Photography. Wildlife photography involves constant interaction with nature and its components. It demands a lot of patience and understanding of nature from the photographer. This presentation aims to highlight the importance of ethics and give some basic do's and don'ts in wildlife photography and filmmaking. On to Mr. Murugavel.
Yeah. Good afternoon. And thank you for that nice words. Anyway, today's topic is ethics and wildlife photography. As mentioned, as individuals who have some connection with nature, whether as a photographer or as a trekker, or just as a naturalist who goes there to the wild to probably observe, spend some time. We have some impact on the nature. So I have always been concerned with the kind of impact we have on the nature and So I've always been concerned with the kind of impact we have on the nature. Whether it's positive or negative is a big question. So I have talked about this to a few other groups, so wildlife photographers in general. I think it has more relevance here because as trekkers, we as a group, we trek the forest, the mountains, and our contact with nature is more here. So I'm here to share some of my observations, and I'm quite sure that the do's and don'ts that we have in terms of connection with nature, I'm sure that you are aware of it, but there are still certain things that I may learn from you or we can share and think about it. So I have two photographs here. These are supposed to be groups of tribes. Okay. These photographs have got a lot of appreciation in terms of exposing certain facts of nature, particularly the way of life that's being led by tribes. What you see here is supposed to be the Tanzanian tribal. He is supposed to taking the weapon that he used to kill that elephant. Next. And elephant hunting in Tanzania, the Arabic, that is the tribe's name. And this is appeared in National Geographic. And the photographer was awarded for this particular photo feature that appeared in this National Geographic issue. Next. And this again is another award-winning photograph where this photograph won almost 10,000 pounds. You know, the award probably was given to this photographer just because this is supposed to be an Iberian wolf, one of the very near extinct species. The stronghold of this wolf is now in Spain, where there are probably 200 breeding pairs left. Okay, so probably a photographer was able to capture a moment of a species that is almost extinct. So these two photographers, but the story didn't stop there. Next. So, as I told you before, a successful hunter removing the spear from an elephant and then removing the tusks were actually made several years earlier are not of the Barabig. This was later found by the National Geographic team. Though they have published this, appreciating the photographer, you know, for photographing this as a feature and writing about it. Later on, they got to know that this photograph has no way connected with the Barabig tribes. That was one. Next. And when this was published, along with several other photographs of the huge tusks, there were several readers who wrote to National Geography saying that they could see lot of numbers on the tusks. So that only proved that these tusks were probably taken or confiscated from the poachers, and they are in the custody of the Wildlife Department of Africa, probably Kenya and Tanzania. So several readers pointed out there are the faint but unmistakable numbers on the tusks. So this, the photographer has staged this, and he's gone to the extent of winning an award. Next. The same thing happened to this photographer as well. The Natural History Museum's wildlife photographer of the year award has been stripped of his 10,000 pound after judges found he is likely to have hired a tame Iberian wolf to stage the image of a species seen rarely in the wild. But the previous images, the two things that are connected with the Iberian Barabig tribes, that photographer accepted that he staged everything. But this person still claims that it is a photograph of a real wild wolf. But experts say that this wolf has been hired from a zoological park in Spain because they were able to identify the wolf with certain distinctive features. So they have certain characteristics which experts can use for identification. It's more like some spotches you might have seen in National Geographic and Discovery channels where the researchers identify each and every elephant. Okay, this elephant I know it has a hole here, something like that. So they have found that this cannot be a wild wolf. So again, this guy was stripped of his award and also the money he had to pay back. So in the past, hunting probably was the one that attracted people to wild, and now hunting is replaced by photography. The best example would be the Nilgiri Wildlife Association, which was once a hunting population. People who were hunters formed that group. Now when hunting was banned, they are more into conservation now. They are photographers. So, but both involve matters such as captive wildlife, baiting, advancing technology, all these things are now used by photographers to get amazing images. So this forces to come up with more and more of stringent laws, at least world over, may not be in India. They are making laws more stringent. They have do's and don'ts, a lot of do's and don'ts, which are really followed here, unlike here. So seasonal restrictions, area closures, and designated use of sites. So that are coming into vogue in position. Probably even in our country, probably this will be in practice in near future. Next. So because of the advancement in technology, communication, the Facebook, Twitter, all these things, people are really into photography. They want to post their images, get more likings, things like that. So this has, I would say, created a lot of enthusiasm among youngsters, particularly college-going kids, and working professionals, and the equipment, it's always available. You have some probably 20,000-30,000. You can buy a reasonably good equipment for your photography. So money is not an issue. Then you can go for really good lenses. So more and more people are getting into photography, and wildlife photography is really, it motivates, inspires a lot. So these people, I wouldn't call them as amateurs because I would probably consider myself as an amateur. But what we do with the pictures matters. Anyway, so this person, this Donald M. Jones, he has been a photographer of big game, lion, tiger, elephants. So he says these guys can be divided into two groups. One is regulatory, semantics, and behavioral etiquette. These two things that we need to follow when, as photographers, we go into wild. So the first group are people who exploit animal models. So not innately wrong in terms of irritating wildlife. That say they use the technology to add or to subtract or to add something what was not there, that kind of stuff. But the second kind of group, they really have an impact on the wildlife. Say, for example, if you see a raptor, probably a crescent serpent eagle sitting there, it probably would be facing the other side. So you make some noise or something here so that it turns towards you, or you want to take off, you want to have a flamingos taking off so that you see the pink wings, all these things. You make them to fly. So that's the kind of group the second group belongs to. They are the people who affect the animal behavior. Next. So what? When I go into a sanctuary, naturally I'm going to have an impact on the system. So many people question, okay, fine, what's wrong? The people who belong to the first group, who make certain, who use the technology to alter what they photograph, they can always come out with questions like, okay, what's wrong with this? I'm not affecting the system in any way, to enhance the aesthetics or the beauty of the image. I can always adjust the contrast, things like that, or they can add anything more. So that's the kind of argument they have. And the second group again, they have their own argument. Either way, a human's presence in a wildlife area is going to have an impact. So me making a noise to make the owl look at me, it's not going to have a big impact. So what do we do? So there are certain do's and don'ts that we need to follow. Even as wildlife photographers or naturalists, we may follow certain norms, but I would say to our operators, they may not do it. I still remember where we were in two groups. We were there in what is the place? Jim Corbett National Park. So people who have gone there probably know there is a vast big grassland where you have a lot of elephants. They come in the evening. You will easily see around 80 to 100 of them. So we were in a jeep, and my friends were in another jeep a little away from us. So suddenly we realized that there were a few other jeeps standing there, and the whole herd of elephants was on the other side. Some of them were trying to go to the other side. They have to cross the kind of the path where we were lined up. So they were a little hesitant, the elephants. They were not willing to, probably they didn't have that kind of courage to cross. They were very disturbed. We could see that. But suddenly a jeep started moving towards us with a honk. That usually they don't honk. We are not supposed to honk, that too in a national park. That's a big offense. But he honked, and then this guy came towards us in the jeep, and we could see another elephant, a matriarchal elephant, charging towards the jeep where my friends were. So, and then that jeep also came towards us. The elephant made a charge, a mock charge, and it stopped after some time. Probably people who have seen elephant charging, they would know. They make 2-3 charges, mock charges. Only then they really attack you, if at all they want to. So this elephant made 2-3 charges, mock charges, and then it retreated. So by that time, that my friends also reached us. Only then, after talking to them, we got to know that the jeep driver wanted some tips from our group. One of the guys said, "Okay, you just ensure that we get a good picture. I'll give you this much of money." So he told the other guy just to honk and take the vehicle off. So this disturbed the elephant, and it really made a charge. And you would be surprised to know this image got an award internationally with the elephant charging at this group. You will see only the elephant. Background you have hills, beautiful blue hills, green cover grass, and elephant charging at you, and the dust moving around. It was a beautiful picture. But the story behind, we did have a negative impact on the natural system there. Are we justified in doing so is a question that every individual need to answer. Okay, it doesn't stop there, This driver I'm sure that you will make it as a habit. When I do it for you, I will do it for somebody else also. And people who have probably if any of you have gone to Ranthambore or Kana, or Kana is worse, Once one team identifies a tiger, immediately he will talk to the other guys. He will get the whole lot of crowd with jeeps. They usually go in big trucks like the military truck kind of vehicles where canters, where 10 people can sit, and then they have this open gypsies, Maruti gypsies, and all will come there. Just one jeep driver needs to spot the tiger. That's it. All will come there, and imagine that the kind of impact you would have on the tiger. It's really bad. But you know, like any system, it has its own positive and negative sides. It generates a lot of revenue for the, Africa lives because it gets a lot of money from ecotourism. But when as I told you, this Ranthambore or Jim Corbett or any of this, they don't send several vehicles. They have very strict norms. They will send only 5 to 10 vehicles. That too in one particular. They have several tracks within the national park. Probably 2 in the buffer zone. Usually they don't allow into the core area. So there are several tracks. Probably 10 vehicles may go in one particular track. In another track, another 10 will be there. And timing is also restricted. Only from 6 to 9 you can be in the national park. Apart from that, you're not supposed to get down also. You are just supposed to be there in the vehicle. And evening 3 to 6, you're not supposed to stay beyond that. So with all these restrictions, people still, manage to disturb wildlife as much as they can. So what we can do, maintain distance. If you don't maintain this distance, what will happen, if there is a bird that is nesting there, inadvertently, even I got into one such situation. There is one school in Polamaa, it's called the Sholay School. It's done from UK, a guy who believes in JK's philosophy. So he runs a school. It's a beautiful place. I've not seen any other place where you could see so many birds. So many birds. So there I was. Polamaa, you need to go probably 5 kilometers. There is one Tickle's blue flycatcher. It's a beautiful bird. It's a very small bird. I was sitting in one place, but this bird was sitting. I was sitting here. This bird was here. It didn't move away at all. I was wondering why this bird is not moving. It will go fly and come and sit there. I was sure that the bird had a nest somewhere, but I really couldn't find the nest anywhere, and the bird didn't go anywhere also. I used to go around and then I'll come back and sit in the same place. Again the bird will come and sit there. So I really didn't understand why that bird was sitting. Probably if that bird will go, catch a fly, come back and sit there. It didn't go anywhere. And then I went and I hid myself in one bush and just to see what this bird is doing. Only then I realized I was sitting just under its nest. It was, and that poor bird has built a nest in a socket that was provided for electrical fitting. What do they call it? Switch box. I really didn't know that it was here, just above my head. It had its nest. Without knowing that, I was sitting just below that, looking for nest cells all over the place, and the poor bird probably wanted to feed the young ones. So then I saw the bird feeding the ones. Then the place had few cats also. So I didn't want the bird, the young ones to become a prey. So we made some kind of a structure around that thing so that the cat can't reach the bird. So certain things may happen. If our presence threatens the bird, we may even desert the nest or miss the mating chance. Even that may happen. And failed hunt. Again, this happened in Nagarhole. Early morning, people who have stayed in the forest would know. In the night, all the deer and other things will come and stay around the place where we stay. If you shine a torch and see, you will see only the eyes. People used to wonder why they come to the place where the humans stay. One theory is like they started believing that the predators wouldn't come to a place where humans stay. So that's why they congregate. I'm not talking about tens of 20 numbers. I'm talking about hundreds of spotted deer staying around your tent. Usually it doesn't happen in tent. Where the forest guest house. Even gar may be seen. But spotted deer, I'm sure you will see hundreds of them around your place. Early morning, I was brushing my teeth and I saw few gentle galloping. It was more like a race kind of thing. They were running towards me. Then within seconds, I saw few dole, wild dogs. They were chasing these spotted deer. The moment they saw me, they stopped the chase and they went the other side. But good for the deer. But my intervention stopped the natural process there. I was not even, I didn't imagine it would happen. Had I imagined, I would have been waiting there with my camera there. But it was beautiful to see. It really, but sometimes they get so used to human they wouldn't bother. That has also happened near Polachi as you trek towards Polachi top slip. There is a dam. Again, a group of wild dogs were chasing deer. The Samba deer went into the water and stood put there. It was sure that this dole wild dogs will not venture into the water, but the dogs also stayed there. And we waited, but after 2 hours, the deer probably came out and the dogs did prey on it, it seems. A friend of mine who stayed there later on told me. So all these things happen. So we as individuals need to maintain a safe distance. So animals do allow, they usually avoid human contact. But they do allow to some distance they wouldn't be bothered. And we need to keep our eyes and ears open and mouth shut. That's bottom line, That's very, very important. That's why people say, even before we see the animal, they see us. You wouldn't even be aware that they are seeing you or they saw you. So that's you need to. And you have to know the alarm calls. How langur make an alarm call. How a sambar or a spotted deer make an alarm call. How it reacts in a body lead to a predator. And dress appropriately. Some people believe that elephants don't really like white colors. I've listened to people saying that Todas, the ladies particularly, they prefer to wear white sarees, and they have told me The elephants, when they run amok, they go after people who wear white colors. I'm not really sure how scientifically it is true. But when we are camouflaged, our presence may not have that bad impact. And using deodorants and all these things definitely need to be avoided. Okay. Probably you might have known about this place very close to Astrakers. Nanmangalam is an area. That's where it's also a breeding place for great horned owls. We had been going to that place for probably 2 decades, more than that. And we never made this as probably we are not part of this Facebook tradition or generation. So we never published all these images, but we had been going there for years together. But probably in the last 5-6 years, a lot of people have started visiting this place just to photograph these great horned owls, Vibo. And you know, the impact is very, 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 very bad. There are 3 different quarries there, and there were 3 breeding pairs of owls. Now we have only 1 pair. The others have abandoned the place. I strongly believe it's because of the kind of, we people, the human anthropogenic pressure on these breeding pairs there. Just because we want to have a good photo of, they are very charismatic creatures. So there is also another positive side, When we used to go there to observe these owls, we have saved few owls from poachers. For I don't know, for some reason, owls are sold in black markets for several thousands of rupees. Probably for traditional medicine, which may not have any scientific base, but still there is a belief that they may be used for some traditional medicines. But that was one. And also, these photographs were taken by. I can't make a similar hide here in Nanmangalam or any other place because that would attract lot of, because that's a place which is open to all. Though it's a reserve forest area, a lot of people who stay in and around, they use the quarry, the water that is put in there to water cloth. The people go and bathe themselves. Though every year 1 person dies falling into that place in the water, nobody has stopped people from using that place for domestic purposes. I'm sure that it will have an impact on the birds as well. So I can't make a hide here and document these birds. Making a hide itself would attract a lot of attention. People would come and you go with a big lens there and keep looking at even a butterfly. Everybody would come and enna sir adu? No. Otherwise the bird would have been there for long. Nobody would even bother to. You see this near Pallikarnai, this purple Muran is always there. Anytime you go, you will find. Once you go there and stand there with your tripod and start shooting them, na sir, maila because it's purple color, no? So all these things happen. So we can't make a hide also here. The next. So we really documented the whole process of these chicks growing. The bird didn't bother us. Its natural behavior was not changed. You see, this is what you see there is a dead rat. These owls bring rats and keep them, it's more like a repository. They stock for their chicks. See the rat size and this is chick size. There are 3 chicks here. 1, 2, 3 and the rat, and they start growing. As they grow, it will consume a rat as big as its body. Next. See, it's eating one, the top one. This is little grown. It started losing the downy feathers and it's growing. Next. Now you can see the difference. The one that here, at this stage, they are really aggressive. Next. So this is more of a juvenile. Probably in another 1 month's time, it would be a well-grown one. Next. So this is almost ready to fly. Next. This is an adult one. So we were able to photograph the whole thing without having any impact on the system there. But here, a friend of mine who went near, the owl really attacked him from the rear. He had his ears split. If he was not really careful, he probably would have even lost it. They are very protective of the youngsters. So it has its own negative aspects as well. Next. So don't mob or prevent movement. Pursue them. People, they go after it. Wherever they go, they will go. I've seen people doing it. Probably birds at sling, they can always fly. But animals, once you corner them, they may go against you also, particularly elephants. Avoid baiting. This not many people do in Asian countries, I assume. But it's very, 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 very common in Western countries. They bait animals in the sense they feed with live animals and they have a big pond with fish so that kids know that they get food there, they will keep visiting there. Food or water. So that's how human-animal conflict happens. That's number one. Number two, when there is, you don't know how the animal would react if there is no food there. That's one thing. Stay in the path. That's again people who travel in Mudumalai, Mysore, Bandipur road. They just need to see an elephant. They would stop the vehicle, immediately they go for their cell phones and stop the vehicle and start taking photographs. All that the elephant wants to do is cross the road and go to the other side, which these people will never do. So they'll wait for some time and then they'll charge at you. There are, you probably go on Google and see, you will see a lot of videos in the YouTube where motorbikers are being charged by elephants, cars are being chased by elephants on this. Next. In national parks, you are not supposed to get down. Here, this was taken by this resort, as this photo displayed, where a lady is freely roaming around and photographing a peacock. Next. And stay away from migratory bird and animal in the early stages of migration. Because so many people flock on, as the birds flock, they become wary also. So that's one. And I'm not talking about places like Vedandangal, I'm not sure how many of you really know the birds that come to Vedandangal are not true migrants. True migrants don't breed here. The media talks about birds that come from Siberia, all these things, Russia. None of the birds that come from, trans country breed here. True migrants, just to avoid the winter, for want of food, they come here and go back to their breeding places. The birds that we see in Vedandangal and all, the bird nest photography has been banned for long now. You can't really use any of this nest photography or feeding the young ones, things like that. Just because some photographers, usually the birds have their nest in a well hidden inside the vegetation. You can't get a good photo. So what we do, we go and cut the leaves, prune them so that you get a beautiful image, which exposes the nest to predators. And when human follows something, a cat or any other predator will follow. And shikra, crows will definitely have a good meal once the chicks get exposed to these things. So we are not supposed to prune or remove the vegetations which act as a cover, and go too close or touch. That may leave a trail, a scent trail, which may make the other predators to come to the place. Learning animal behavior is a must. When you need to know that the rules of the jungle. Number one, a guard particularly can't really see long distance, but its hearing sense is really keen. So you can go close. But once, if the wind is going to carry your scent to the animal, you are in trouble. But if it is from the other side, it's fine. And many people believe that the animal like the elephant will not really climb a hill, but they are very, very good climbers. They can reach you in no time. So, as I said, the mark charges, you need to be aware of it. And several people, just because somebody handles a snake, they wouldn't even know the difference between a venomous and non-venomous snake. They think that it is cool to handle snakes. Again, without knowledge of a particular species, you can't really handle. And avoid the flash. If you look at this particular image, you can see the flash hitting onto the eye of this bird. Imagine a flash at you, you know the kind of impact it has. Imagine what kind of impact it would have on this bird. It's a Dickel's flowpecker, very small bird. This was taken in a very evening. It was taken by my friend only. Though I told him not to use the flash, he tried twice, but without cutting the ear, so he did it. So just for an image, you can't, do this. Next. When it comes to flamingos, birds like this, as I told you before, people make noise. Say, imagine this, you have only 3-4 flamingos images, They would like to see all with the raised heads, or taking off, or in flight, all these things. You will get an image if you wait there. Probably you need to wait for 1 hour, 2 hours, it's fine. But we can't wait. We need to go there, be there for some time, get an image, come back, publish it in Facebook. That's nonsense. So they shoo, even if you go to Annamalai Cherry, where the boatmen take you to the where the flamingos are, probably 2-3 years before they were getting only 300 bucks. Now for each person they get 600, 700. And 5 of you go, you will be forced to spend several thousands. And you are not even assured of anything there. But they will take you there. Sir, Satapota Parakom, Polamaa. They wouldn't even listen to you sometimes. The Killuva unit, the ducks they call it as Killuva, and for Flamingos they call it as Garva. Garva Pakanama and Killuva Pakanama, they have a good knowledge of these things. So they make noise and ensure that they fly so that people, it's because we people have, we tip them so that they would, you get a good photo. Next. And when you deal with amphibians, the reptiles, they are very sensitive to light. Particularly snakes, I know a friend who, he wanted to get a good photograph of snake. So he had the snake in a noon so that it doesn't, the shadow doesn't fall on the other side. That, it really, we could feel the kind of impact it was having on the snake. Probably another 10 minutes, if this guy had the snake out there, it would have died. And frogs, they are very sensitive. They need to have the moisture on their skin. The more you handle, they get dehydrated. Some people believe that wearing a gloves will help. Again, gloves are coated with a lot of chemicals, powders, so that they don't stick together. That will have pathogens and other things infect frogs. And you may be a professional. Seeing you handling these reptiles or amphibians will inspire non-professionals to handle. That you need to avoid. As I told you, avoid mating or egg-laying creatures. You shouldn't handle them. And mating distance, they may be guarding their eggs, particularly crocs and even birds. See, this is a beautiful photograph, but if you see, this guy is actually holding it in his hand. It's not wild, though you have green and the other things. He is holding it in his hand. So it's not really a nice thing to do. Next. This is what you would see in Ranthambore or any of these tiger countries. Why all you need to do is one guy spot a tiger and everybody will go there. Next. Now we come to the digital manipulation. It's okay, you raise the contrast or lessen the contrast or add coloration. These things are, I think it's okay. Basically, you know whether you have taken a good photo or not. So I think basically that's what matters. Just because you alter an image which has not been there, paste it there, all these things, people may go gaga about it, but as you know what it is. So lighten or darken areas, add or subtracting or remove all these things. I don't even manipulate my images in any way. Even color, contrast, I don't do anything. I just use it just like that. And captive wildlife, that's something most people do it. I've seen, I myself have some photographs, but I have not used anywhere. You have this white-bellied sea eagle in Gindi National Park. No. What is the place that next to Gindi? Children's Park. They had one white-bellied sea eagle. If you manage, you can take an amazing photo through the fence, and it will look really wild. The background will be dark, and this image will stand out. You can easily tell people it was taken in Sri Lanka or Pulicat Lake. I waited for 1 hour. But the bird has now been taken to Vandalur. You can still see the bird there. And they are presentable and neat in wild. But again, as I said, Indian wildlife photographers, I think, are really good. and genuine, unlike Westerners. Because I've talked to many wildlife photographers. They go to a zoo, or they even they use the circus animals. They comb the mane of a tiger, sorry, lion, an African lion. With they have a lighting and all, so that it reflects onto the mane and they get a super shot. Next, this is one such image. See, look at the tiger, beautiful tiger. It's a captive animal. Next. This is again. This guy has said that he has taken this image through a glass. A glass is there between this lion and this guy. But you get super images like this. It's more like, Steve Irwin going there, suddenly, there I have a snake here. I'm sure that I've been waiting for, to sight a leopard. I had to wait for 10 years. And I know a lot of forest department people, rangers, who have not sighted one tiger in the South India. I'm talking about people whose interaction with forest, they live there. It's more like, I wouldn't call it as luck, but this leopard, which is a very common animal, I've listened to people who have just like that, who will go to Ooty, they will go and with their cell phone, they will come and show a good photo of a tiger. We go there and wait for 5 days, nothing would happen. It has happened. And fortunately, when I first went to Ranthambore, I was fortunate enough to sight 12 tigers in 5 days. And I didn't have any of these zoom cameras. I have a 500mm telezoom. Now, at that time I didn't have. Now I have a camera, but I don't see the tigers. And when I came back from Ranthambore, I told my friends I saw 12 tigers. They went there within 10 days. They didn't see even one. So that makes wildlife photography interesting. That unpredictableness and the suspense in seeing a wildlife. Next. And baiting and luring, as I told you now, that happens abroad. Here, not many people do that. Next. So this I have taken from Green Humor Blogspot. They divided wildlife photographer into 10 different species. This guy is supposed to be, you can say, Perseus panthera. Can you understand what it means? Panthera is tiger. So a person who is very keen to photograph a tiger. Once I was like this, before me sighting a tiger. We were in Ranthambore, and for first day we didn't sight anything. So they wouldn't bother about all other species. So this probably the tour guide says, would you believe this is the critically endangered white-bellied heron or whatever she says, but this fellow is not bothered about where are the tigers. Take me to the tigers. So they will, for them, except the big game, they call it as big five in Africa, here tigers, the charismatic creatures or flaxfish, keystone species or flax-shaped species, they are not bothered about all others. Next. Some people go well equipped, they will carry all the equipment they have. I know some of my friends have backache just because they were carrying several kilograms of camera. Probably if you carry a camera, you would know how heavy it is, particularly prime lens and so which hand do you shoot with? The guy wouldn't be clueless. Next. So, Klikitika Yenitika is, this guy would click anything that, see the last one, the leech is biting and the blood is dripping, but that guy is happy photographing it. And leeches, I think, are protectors of forest, particularly, I really don't know how leeches attack only certain people. I used to go with one, I learned it from these tribals, who come with us to guide. They will be wearing only one Hawaii slipper. Sometimes they won't even wear that. Our guys will wear that leech socks and shoes dipped with Dettol and salt water and coat it with nicotine, all this stuff. But I'll tell you, these are the people who will have these leeches will have a go. A friend of mine, I can't forget that incident. He just started walking with us. Within 1 meter, there were some 10 leeches in his hand. He immediately went and washed the shoes, added another coat of Dettol. Again, he just came. By the time he reached us, he had another 10. Thrice it happened. He got scared. He really didn't know what happened. Then they were inside his trousers and all. He got really scared. He went in. He said, okay, we'll also be with you for some time. He changed his cloth. He came and sat. Suddenly he saw 2 more here. It was like, we couldn't really find any reason for it, but it happened to him. So these things really happen. Next. So macromonas, this is macro photography. They want to get a real clean, good, close-up shot. I rescued you, data, now be a nice thing to remove your tongue and give back a good photo. So we have people like this as well. Next. Awareness, mindness is all. So people go so close and make a mess out of you. Next. I waited for a whole year trying to get a flight shot, but this damn thing just wouldn't take off. It's a flightless bird. So unless you have, a knowledge of what you're going to shoot, you will end up like this. Next. Yeah, the flash users, they care a damn about, particularly even when you go for these turtle balls, when you find this nesting turtle, everybody would start using flash. They are sea creatures, they are not exposed, they are highly photosensitive. And bursting flashes at them, really, you don't know how it's going to affect their mission. Next. Yeah, this is digital manipulation. Let me put an owl and an egg on the tiger's head and desaturate the background and add some glow. People do this.
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಗೌತಮ್
It's no secret how she got the perfect flat tummy. Too much high-level photography. We are supposed to, waders, the ground-dwelling birds look good when you have a ground level. So most photographers will do this Anga Prajakshanam and take a photograph. That's this, photographer perfectness. Oh my gosh, then once the instinct elephant bird walks right into a bedroom. Would you take a This guy is not bothered just because it is not in a natural setup. So there are people, to be very frank, I wouldn't be bothered to take a photograph of a bird sitting in a wire. That's not its natural perch. The same bird sitting in a branch would look nice, but I'm not this foolish not to take an endangered bird just because it sits in a wire. So that's what I told you. Allow the animal to do what they do naturally. They may have food, mate, or anything. I'll wait here until you are done. So I started with this image. I end with this image because you see, this is what wildlife photography for me. Allowing the subjects to do what they do. Here, this girl is trying to take a small shrimp that got caught in the net in Pulikat. So it was minding its own business. It didn't bother about anything. So the welfare of the animal is much more important than you getting a super photo. That's what we need to keep in mind. And number two, as trekkers, probably we wouldn't trek in a elephant country or a tiger country. If at all you do, you ensure that you listen to what is happening around you. Because as I told you before, they see you before you see them. Usually animals avoid humans, but sometimes it may go wrong, particularly elephants when they are in the must. They are very unpredictable. I'll stop with an anecdote. As I told you, we were in Rantapur. The day before the last day of our departure, we were, probably it was around this time, first time now? Yeah, 4:15, yeah, probably this time. We were watching a bear. So the bear was climbing up, the driver was going behind the bear. Then suddenly he asked us whether you want to see the bear or sher. He asked Balu or sher. Then fortunately the guy has seen the rear view, the tiger, which was behind the vehicle. It was going that side. We all said tiger. Then we went after the tiger. As we started moving closer and closer, it allowed. After some time it gave a growl. That was the indication for us to stop. We stopped. Only then we realized it had 4 cubs. Each cub size of an Alsatian dog. So we were amazed. We were so thrilled. Sighting the tiger itself is something amazing. Tiger with 4 cubs, that was too much to ask. So we stopped the vehicle. All these 4 tiger cubs started crossing the road. They went to the other side. So this guy said the guy who came with the guide, sir, this tiger is taking the young ones to the waterhole. Tomorrow, same time, if we come, definitely we can sight. All will come. So all of us came and waited there. We waited for an hour, nothing happened. Then we saw slowly that cubs started moving from somewhere from nowhere. And the big one was nowhere in sight. Without the mother, the cubs will not venture out at all. We were wondering where the mother would be, but we couldn't find the mother. Slowly the cubs came so close to the trail. We were waiting here. The cub, all they need to do is cross and go to the other side. And we are waiting here. Probably the cubs were there at the end of this room. So we couldn't see the mother. When the one cub started moving, the mother, which was few meters away in a bush, it started with a growl and it started walking, just went close to our vehicle. We could have touched it. All along, the mother was there having an eye on us. And we were in an open jeep. If it wanted to attack, it could have, but no animal attacks without provocation. See, even a snake bites you, it is the only self-defense it has. We are in their territory. Imagine somebody in your home doing nonsense. What will you do? Will you not retaliate? That is what they do. And what we do, we blame them. And media's Yanagal Attakasam, that's what they do. And medias make a big difference to create or dispel a myth. And what one out they wouldn't know, till this date I have not seen one paper giving the name of a Banal as a Banal. They will say Australia Andai Pidipattadu and the fire, what is it? Forest people, fire service people. Two guys will, one guy will hold one tip of the wing, the other guy will happily pose as if they are doing a heroic deed. And fire service, Tamil and and they will not even release it. They will take it to the children's park and they will leave it in the cage. It will be there. And the cage will not have a space also. Anyway, that's a different issue altogether. So, as trekkers, I have only one request. Take only your memories. Don't leave anything there. Okay? And the impact we have on the system should be minimal, if not nil, zero. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Any questions? I forgot. Any questions?
You said about that you spot a bird on a wire, don't shoot it from the wire. Because
Yeah.
it is not the backdrop, is not natural.
Yeah, it's sitting on a...
It is unusual, right?
Unusual, not to...
Except that it is not in the natural background or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is not the usual thing, right?
Usual
It's
thing.
very unusual.
People for shoot.
It's a new thing, like sitting on a wire or something like that.
No. They usually sit
Can you
here.
give us an example?
Yeah. Even a peregrine falcon, it was sitting on a wire only in Pulikai. Because there is no tree around. I shot it only in the electrical. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Murugavel. It was such an informative session. Any other questions? I'm sure he's free to take it up right outside the venue here. I now invite Durga to give away the memento and the Pongai sapling to Mr. Murugavel.